No, this is not a Nintendo Switch, it's actually the brand new Lenovo Legion Go. We've tried it, it's very impressive, but let's get into it. So right up top, Lenovo appears to have done what no other Windows gaming handheld manufacturer has been able to at this point, and created a pocket PC that mimics the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch OLED. While we've only really had 30 minutes or so of hands-on time, this could be the Steam Deck killer that the ROG Ally from Asus wishes that it was. For the stat and spec trackers out there, there's an 8.8-inch QHD plus 144Hz touchscreen with a 500 nit peak brightness, AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme CPU with RDNA graphics, 16GB of DDR5X RAM clocked at 7,500 MHz, and up to 1TB of PCIe Gen 4 SSD storage that can be manually upgraded. There is no way to upgrade the RAM sadly, but that is a really impressive package from the outset, and even with a stacked spec sheet, I think the headline hardware change is the detachable controllers that unclip from the size of this device, much like the Nintendo Switch, but the process seems a lot less refined here. Getting that perfect button press is actually quite difficult, at least in the time we spent with this. Credit where it's due though, there is an ultra strong kickstand that feels lifted directly from the OLED Switch, and this is great for gaming on the go. With each of these controllers, the analog sticks on this Legion Go device have Hall effect sensors. This might not seem all that important, but it actually means that drifting with these and having that drift issue later down the line shouldn't be an issue, all while improving overall responsiveness. The little mouse wheel that is actually found on the underside of the right stick is also super nice, with the touchpad itself also mimicking a laptop quite nicely despite its compact size and shape. There are 10 mappable controller buttons, which should be really helpful for precise gaming in specific titles, no matter which game you do want to play. Lenovo has also touted an innovative FPS mode, and this is one of the most interesting aspects because it comes with a kickstand in the actual package that emulates a joystick when it's attached to it, but it works like a mouse for input for that precise aiming in your FPS titles. It feels like it might be tough to get used to, but this is a kind of thing that feels missing on other comparable handheld gaming PCs, as you'll usually need to attach a mouse via Bluetooth or even plug that in if you can do that. One of the only problems could be the weight of this device, and while not necessarily uncomfortable for the short time that we had to trial run with some games on this device itself, it's a hefty unit at 854 grams with those controllers themselves attached. I will say that the screen alone is rated at 640 grams, but you wouldn't necessarily take that out on its own. You're probably wondering at this point though, how does it play? Well, the small selection of games that were pre-installed on this and that we tried using Xbox Game Pass ran pretty flawlessly at that native QHD plus resolution. I would say without benchmarking it's actually tough to truly assess, but the performance was consistent enough for it to be less of an issue, while the games themselves felt nowhere near that 144 FPS using that 144Hz screen. It did feel super fluid, and I don't think it crept below that 50 FPS barrier, at least to my eye. Touch input was also super responsive when using the extreme gaming modes. The fans themselves are quite loud though when you start to use these, and a lot of heat is kicked out the top of those frame vents. I will say that intense sessions will no doubt require constant connection to a wall outlet using that PSU, but there's no way to know how well that 49 watt-hour battery will actually fare in the real world unless we try it for ourselves, but we're sure that tweaking the in-game graphical settings like on other comparable devices will be a sensible decision to ensure increased longevity. My biggest gripe with all handheld PCs so far though is Windows 11, as it can feel quite inhibiting, and although Lenovo has tried with its own Legion Space software and it does help, it's obvious that this isn't going to provide the most seamless and best experience for everybody out there. It's just basically a Lenovo version of Asus's Armoury Crate on the ROG Ally, and that lets you connect all of your gaming services from Epic Games to Steam to help quickly launch into your favourite titles. Xbox Game Pass itself has a plethora of titles that I think are perfect for this specific form factor and definitely feel like they're going to be less taxing on that integrated GPU. I'm not entirely convinced that AAA games will run as well, but I do actually look forward to testing this out after launch. I gotta say, I personally love a lot of what Lenovo has tried to do here for $699, but I can see that one of the biggest frustrations is not necessarily the pricing, but having actually to wait until October 2023 before this is going to be available to you to go and purchase. For gamers looking at other handhelds out there, it might actually be worth holding out a little longer for what I think could be one of the best of the bunch so far. Is it an instant cop or an instant buy at $699? Tell me down in the comment sections below. It's also interesting to hear your thoughts. Cheers for watching though, and I will catch you in the next one.